Good evening, everybody. It's June 20th, 2025, and yes, I guess I have been conspicuously absent for most of the day. I need to recite the Serenity Prayer. I was thinking about it all day because of these difficult circumstances that I have suddenly encountered with helping Jessica, who has been illegally detained against her will for the last 11 months at the DCH North Harbor Pavilion in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. For those of you who don't know, Jessica is a PhD scientist in chemistry, and she's performed some extraordinary research. Well, she's also a targeted person, and back in July of 2024, she had decided to move back home. I'm not exactly sure when that was, but in July of 2024, she got into a thing with her mother over her painting her bedroom with EMF shielding paint. Not the black kind. It's like a different kind that she recently told me about that I didn't even know existed. It has like a grit in it. So evidently her mother didn't like it, and she called 911 to have Jessica hauled away. And Jessica had an attorney at the time, still does, and is paying him on an hourly basis. Has given him power of attorney over her finances. And all these 11 months later, she's still there, paying him, and he hasn't gotten her out. Now, I've been in the targeted community since 2017, although I'm targeted like way before 2012. I mean, I became aware of it around 2012, but I think it was more since 2009. And the more I think about it, it could have even been earlier than that, but not substantial targeting. You know, once in a while, you know, life's little breaks happen sometimes. So, and I don't want to get too much into this thing with her lawyer because in one instance, I'm not even going to discuss it. But anyway, he is a friend of the family. He is the family lawyer. So I believe it's a conflict of interest that I don't understand why she hired him knowing that he's represented her mother and that her mother's the one that placed her there. But I don't know, because I became involved with this whole situation in March of this year. I didn't even know. I mean, I had been in contact with her before through an email list, and I wonder where she disappeared to. But, you know, sometimes people just stop posting, and I didn't think anything of it until I heard about it from somebody else, and it's like, oh, it's that Jessica who's disappeared. And then, of course, I became involved. And Jessica is not the first person who's been Baker acted that I became involved with. Jessica is either the 6th or the 7th person that I wanted to help. But Jessica is the only one of those individuals that has an attorney and who hasn't gotten out. So it's deeply concerning to me. You know, I actually woke up thinking about it, and I'm like very angry, just very, very angry about it. And then I had to remember the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It is often used for comfort and guidance in difficult situations. It's like it's not my situation, and it's not my problem, and I chose to go in and help her. And the type of person that I am is like, once I start something, like I'm kind of gung-ho on it, and I don't let go of it until I win. And that's the way I am. That's the way I've always been, and that's why I have been successful in businesses that I've created, is because once I start, I don't stop. But it also sidetracked me from the things that I need to do in my own life, and I've got a list of things. I actually have a pile on the floor here of stuff that I've neglected. I have to renew my insurance. I don't like my insurance company. I'm probably going to change it. I'm going to change insurance companies. I mean, that's very tedious and time consuming. and a whole list of other things, including filing complaints on behalf of my local government here, because they don't follow up on things like dildos in a mailbox and dead animals in a mailbox and breaking into my rescue building and then falsifying the incident reports. No, I'm not going to let go of that. No, that's going to go up as high up the ladder as I possibly can take it, so that people know. And the thing is, if nothing happens, I've at least placed the ball in somebody else's court. It means that I don't remain silent. I let the people in a position of authority to make the change, acknowledge it, and do something about it, that opportunity. If you never speak of, if you don't tell the appropriate people what's going on, how would they know? How would they know to assist you? And there are still decent people out there. Although I heard some really horrific news today that a federal worker, somebody that works at the Social Security Administration Department, has been for years selling your personal data to third and fourth and fifth parties. Now, it occurred to me that this is what's happening to targeted people. But what the scheme was that they were disseminating all of this personal information through the Social Security Department. And this was a manager there that was doing this. He finally got caught. He's going to prison. And others should as well. Because he got a whole bunch of women with children to participate in this Ponzi scheme. And basically what the scheme was, there are people that pass away. Well, he had access to all these people. So he decides, okay, well, I've got this information. Okay, they passed away, so they're not going to be collecting anything. But we'll make them alive again. And they will be, especially the men, they will be the fathers of all these women who he co-opted, who have children, to pay Social Security towards those children that are not the deceased person. I don't know if I'm explaining this properly. But it's absolutely appalling. So millions and millions of dollars have been stolen from the Social Security Administration through this network of people that could have gone to so many people out there. Because there's no oversight. There's no oversight for these agencies. And of course, that pissed me off too. It was like one of those piss me off kind of days. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I had to think about this today, between Jessica's decision to maintain this person as her attorney, hand over all of her financial affairs to this person, refusing to revoke the power of attorney, which with ChatGPT's help I drew up for her. And I was very persistent about it, and she says, "No, I'm not going to do it." It's like, okay, well, she is going to be facing guardianship, and once that takes place, she will have no say in the matter. So I feel like a mama bear here. She's a 37-year-old PhD woman who for 11 months has been held against her will, being injected with Abilify. She's suddenly developing all these horrific health side effects as a result. But yet she's still holding on to this guy. And, in some ways I can relate. In the past, I've held on to guys that were bad for me. Not because I didn't have one to replace it, just because I always thought, oh, maybe at the last minute they'll change, They'll change at the last minute. There'll be some glimmer of hope. But I was deluding myself. just the way she's diluting hers. But I can't sit back and watch it. It's very upsetting. So I repeat the prayer, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So now I'm going to talk about, let me pull it up here, because tomorrow the sun moves into the sign of Cancer, and we have our summer solstice. Now, for all you people that have been following me for a while, you know I talk about these things. And targeted individuals are satanic, ritually abused by Luciferian Satanists. So yes, we're experimented on. Yes, we're traded on the stock market. Yes, they have all this stuff to make money off of us, steal things from us. But the main thing, and I've been saying this for years, is that we are not only a sexual paraphilia, because these are perverts, but they ritually abuse us, just like on May 1st of 2024, these local Luciferian Freemason losers had a cat attack me. And while the cat was attacking me, they took the opportunity to use their laser technology on my right forearm and cut a triangle. No, not a little teeny triangle. Not a little teeny one. It was so deep, so wide, and a nanosecond away from my vein. And I could have totally bled out. And as it was, I was covered in blood. And David Atkinson, who has his own YouTube channel here that interviews a lot of targeted people, he actually did show it on his channel. I was shocked because when I showed it on mine, it was taken down, likely because it was reported by my local criminals. They don't want anybody to see what they did to me because it's not naturally occurring. It did not happen by a cat. They used the cat for plausible deniability. While that cat was attached to my legs, they decided they were going to experiment with their technology and cut a triangle in my forearm. And anybody that would like to see what that looks like, email me, alternativehomesteading@gmail.com, and I will be happy to share with you so that you could see what they've done to me. In addition to stuffing my mailbox with a double-headed dildo, a skinned animal, poopy diapers from Scarlet down the block, poopy toilet paper, raw meat, raw fish, trash, garbage. All of this is satanic ritual abuse. These are Satanists. I don't think any of my neighbors ever stepped foot in a church. Ever. But anyway, so beware, folks. The sun is moving into the sign of Cancer. It's the summer solstice, you know, and all the witches get around, you know, their little covens, and they're like shaking their hands together like, ah, ha, 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 ha. What are we going to do next? Oh, let's go get our sticks and twigs and wide branches and place them around the property. Let's dig some more holes. Oh, but we might need a sacrifice too. So yeah, so this Mayday, they go into my cat building and harm all the kittens and the nursing mom that resulted in the death of 3 kittens. And then, of course, when I reported to the Jackson County Sheriff's Department, a phone call of which I recorded and posted on my channel so you can hear what I said compared to what they posted in the police blotter. Totally falsified. But let's not go there because grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, but I will never shut up. And I'll tell you why. Because I, Lorraine Valente, happy birthday, Cancer, I am a moon child. For those born between June 21 and July 22nd, the key phrase is I nurture. And I am reading this from a blog that I created a zillion years ago, back in 2010. And I'll show you here, just so you can see. There's me. Okay, so I'm going to read this for all you Cancerians out there. You might, if you have your moon in Cancer, your sun in Cancer, or your ascendant in Cancer, this is for you. On June 21st, tomorrow, the sun enters the sign of Cancer at 00 degrees. Uranian astrologers link 0 degrees to all the cardinal signs. What is cardinal energy? It is Aries, the sign of Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. And by the way, Jessica is an Aries. What do? We initiate. We're action-oriented, outgoing. These signs are restless, often impatient, all open to change, and project that energy onto others in the environment. Others may view them as domineering because this desire to make things happen. The cardinal energy represents movement from an inner passive quality to an assertive outer quality. It is our will to be noticed, like seedlings pushing their way through the soil surface towards the warmth of light. Interestingly, there are fewer geomagnetic disturbances in the ocean at the solstice points, which is June and July of Cancer, and then in December and January in Capricorn, than during the equinoxes. Of course, with geoengineering, that doesn't have to be the case anymore, right? But generally, typically, that's the case. Cancer is caring, responsible, romantic, sensitive, and sensual in the romantic relationships. There isn't anything Cancer won't do for their partner and loved ones. They are generous with their time, love, possessions, once trust is developed. Developing trust in relationships is critical. Security and loyalty are most important to the lunar folks, which is why betrayal in love has such devastating effect. Scorpios might say, don't get mad, get even. And just for the record, I'm a Scorpio rising. And my mom was a Scorpio. Don't get mad, get even. I've said that before. That's what my mom's motto. Don't get mad, get even. Yet a Cancerian never forgets. And some say they never forgive an emotional betrayal, although rationally they may. Considered to be old-fashioned, maintaining traditional values, moon children are sentimental. They save and collect just about everything. And yes, I do. There are people who stay in contact. They are the people who stay in contact with old friends and save memorabilia from the past. They are most devoted to their mate and family, specifically their brood. Their memories and intuition are acute and possess the ability to store past emotional memories and impressions with acute accuracy and detail. Cancer the crab has a hard outer shell, yet a very soft interior. Crabs crawl into their shells when they are frightened and will move at a slow and constant pace. If you chance to watch a crab move, he tends to move from side to side and not front to back. This symbolism is prominent in the lunar rules. There's a tendency to not confront a problem or person straight on, but in a roundabout fashion. The way in which conflict is resolved is most prominent. Remember, Cancer is a cardinal sign. Discussions are about timing within the emotional waters or tides, and it must feel right to engage in communication. The astrological glyph is the crab, and the shape is a sideways number 69. Numerologically, The number 69 reduces to the number 6, and that would be 6 plus 9 equals 15, and then 1 plus 5 equals 6, which is symbolic of service. Moon children are the nurturers and mothers of the zodiac. Because Cancer resides in the 4th house of the zodiac, she is ruled by our satellite, the moon. Emotions, feelings, children, ancestry, cooking, and the home are most important to lunar folks. Emotional comfort and personal security is critical to a Cancer. The moon is often called a quote-unquote light or luminary. She is symbolic of our instinctual, emotional nature, how we may or may not have been nurtured as a child, and our perception of our own mother, and how our emotional needs were either met early in life. They're symbolized by the placement of the moon in your chart. She is the feminine principle, yin. The moon is receptive as she retreats during the day, hidden from view, absorbing the light and energy of her partner, the sun. This energetic light is reflected back to us in the evening, once the sun has disappeared from view. She might be considered the quote-unquote shadow. While the sun is in the sign of Cancer, it combines the union of opposites, both solar and lunar energy, the masculine and feminine. In the book Mythic Astrology by Gutman and Johnson, when a person is born under the sign of Cancer, it is said to be the sign of the mystic marriage, the union of alchemical opposites. For this reason, lunar folks are said to be psychic, for they are very open to universal energies. Don't ever believe that Cancer is weak. That would be your first and last mistake. Cancer is an intuitive cardinal sign. Do not doubt that lunar folks are tenacious and persevere under the worst circumstances. Emotional depth perception is bestowed upon Cancers and energized by the moon's radiant reflection. Faithful and kind might be confused for weak. An innocent streak. By Gloria Estefan. I wish you. In health matters, lunar ruled Cancer relates to the breasts and stomach, symbolic of the nurturing instinct. Breasts for feeding babies and the stomach for consumption of food, sustenance. Considering the disease Cancer and the proliferation of breast cancer, specifically in women, we see women who give too much, don't speak up for themselves, and whose emotional needs are not being met. As a result, the pattern becomes internalized and a disease develops to render the quote-unquote giver incapable of giving because they are too ill to do so. The reverse happens where the nurturer becomes the one nurtured. This is why it's important to speak up. Don't hold it in. Cancer's polar opposite is the 4th house of home, our ancestral roots, the ends of the matter. The 4th house is considered to be the ends of the matter. Children, family, food, and nurturing. Is cardinal. Earth sign Capricorn, the opposite, is the 10th house. The 10th house is your career, your public reputation. The integration of home and family versus work and the public are issues to be addressed in the life of Cancerians. When under stress, each sign operates through negative characteristics of their polar opposite, the sign 180 degrees opposite itself. When under stress, Cancer becomes cold as ice, hiding in their shell, willful and decisive, similar to earthy Capricorn, the sea goat, ruled by Saturn, Satan. Remember, too, that Saturn is the ancient ruler of Aquarius, and that flavor can be added to the above interpretation. Aquarians may seem distant, aloof, or cool because they're an air sign. If you have your moon in the sign of Cancer, your mother was often seen as the proverbial mother, preparing meals, washing clothes, performing perfunctory household tasks. Her emotions waxed and waned and were intuitively felt by you. There's an emotional need to retreat when under stress and to be nurtured and mothered. There exists an emotional need to care for children. You're imaginative, sympathetic, protective, possessive, refined, gentle, receptive, moody, critical, and loyal. This is an impressionable moon. If you have your Mercury in the sign of Cancer, Mercury is how you speak, your thought processes, communications, etc. You're intuitive and prefer to discuss your feelings in conversation. Changing thoughts create changing moods and vice versa. You possess a keen imagination and an excellent retentive memory. If you have your Venus in the sign of Cancer, Venus in a woman's chart is the type of man that she is how she loves, what she's attracted to. And Venus involves how you make money, how you earn money, pretty things, artistic things that are artistic. Venus, if you have your Venus in the sign of Cancer, you value security and love. You want to be pursued by a partner in a relationship because you require reassurance that your partner wants you enough to go after you. You are romantic, sentimental, and a sensitive partner. Poetry. You love to care about and for children and cooking, and you are content to stay at home. That's if you have your Venus in the sign of Cancer. If you've got Mars in the sign of Cancer, you desire security in a partner. You can be willful and react with emotional outbursts and temper tantrums. Carpenters and home improvement specialists, nurturing professionals, chefs. The sexual act depends on the mood, and this will change like the phases of the moon. Passion is contingent upon what is received from the partner. Some of the famous Cancerians are Hermann Hesse, German visionary novelist, July 2nd, actor Tom Cruise, July 3rd, Ann Landers, the advice columnist, and Geraldo Rivera, the TV talk show host, July 4th, Sylvester Stallone, July 6th, Marc Chagall, the Russian Jewish painter, July 7. The dancer Ginger Rogers was born July 16. Film actors James Cagney, July 17. Carlos Santana, one of my favorites. Guitarist, musician born July 20th. Ernest Hemingway and author Cat Stevens, who I loved when I was growing up. Musician, songwriter, and Robin Williams, actor, comedian, and Lorraine Valente, me, all born on July 21. Okay, so if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you are of the sign of Cancer, leave a comment down below. If you know anybody who is born during this time, leave a comment down below. And Cancer, Moonchild, those born between July 21, July 22, June 21, June 21 and July 22, the key phrase is I nurture. And we're just going to go back to this Serenity Prayer because I need to read it again. The Serenity Prayer is an invocation by the petitioner for wisdom to understand the difference between circumstances that can and cannot be changed. Asking courage to take action in the case of the former, and serenity to accept the case of the latter. The prayer has achieved very wide distribution, spreading through the YMCA and other groups in the 1930s and in AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and related organizational materials at least since 1941. This is according to Wikipedia. And by the way, I was in a 12-step program. Not because I have any addictions or whatever, but because I am a Cancerian and I want to help people. I want to help people change. I want to make them better. So I had to go through the 12 steps to figure out that, no, I can't change I'm not going to fix anybody. And I gave Jessica all the help I could possibly give, and I'm done. And now I have to take a step back, and she's either going to have to wake up and come to her senses or suffer the consequences, which are severe. But anyway, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Signing off for now.